The office was a cavern of silence, the only sound the rhythmic hum of the air conditioning units. Sarah sat at her desk, the glow of her computer screen illuminating her face, her fingers flying across the keyboard as she immersed herself in a mountain of work. It was late, well past midnight, and the rest of the office was deserted, leaving her alone in the vast, echoing space. Sarah was a night owl, a creature of the darkness, and she preferred the solitude of the late hours. The silence allowed her to focus, to lose herself in her work, to escape the distractions of the day. But tonight, there was a strange unease that clung to the shadows, a sense of something unseen watching her from the periphery of her vision. She dismissed it as a figment of her imagination, a byproduct of the late hour and the overwhelming silence. She focused on her work, determined to finish her project before dawn. But the feeling of being watched persisted, a persistent whisper in the back of her mind. Sarah glanced at the clock on her computer screen. It was 2:00 a.m. She should have been tired, exhausted, but a strange energy seemed to pulse through her, keeping her alert, her senses heightened. She felt a prickle of unease, a sense that something was amiss. She stood up, stretching her stiff muscles, and walked to the window. The city lights below cast a hazy glow, but the office building was shrouded in darkness, its windows reflecting the moon's pale light. Sarah peered into the darkness, her gaze sweeping across the deserted streets, but she saw nothing. She returned to her desk, her unease growing. She felt a cold draft, as if a window had been left open, but all the windows were closed and locked. She shivered, pulling her jacket closer around her. Suddenly, she heard a sound, a faint scratching noise coming from the other side of the office. She froze, her heart pounding in her chest. The sound came again, closer this time, as if something was moving through the darkness. Sarah's breath hitched in her throat. She reached for her phone, her fingers trembling as she dialed the security number. But before she could press the call button, the sound came again, louder this time, a guttural growl that echoed through the empty office. Sarah's blood ran cold. She knew she wasn't alone. Something was in the office with her, something dark and malevolent. She scrambled for her chair, her eyes darting around the room, searching for the source of the sound. The growl came again, closer this time, and then she saw it. A figure emerged from the shadows, a tall, gaunt creature with glowing red eyes and long, clawed fingers. It moved with a silent grace, its movements fluid and predatory. Sarah screamed, her voice echoing through the empty office. The creature turned its head, its eyes locking onto her with a chilling intensity. It let out a low, guttural chuckle, a sound that sent shivers down Sarah's spine. Sarah knew she was in trouble. She had no way to defend herself, no way to escape. The creature advanced, its claws outstretched, its eyes burning with a malevolent light. Sarah closed her eyes, bracing herself for the inevitable. She heard the creature's footsteps drawing closer, the sound of its claws scraping against the floor. Then, silence. Sarah opened her eyes, her heart pounding in her chest. The creature was gone. She looked around the room, her gaze sweeping across the empty space, but there was no sign of it. She sat there for a moment, her breath coming in ragged gasps, her mind reeling from the encounter. She didn't know what to do, what to believe. Had she really seen what she thought she had seen? Or was it all just a figment of her imagination, a product of her overactive mind? She decided to leave the office, to go home and try to forget about the terrifying experience. She gathered her belongings, her hands trembling as she packed her bag. She glanced at the clock. It was 3:00 a.m. As she walked out of the office, She couldn't shake the feeling that she was being watched. She looked over her shoulder, but there was nothing there. Just the empty street, the silence of the night. She hurried down the street, her footsteps echoing on the deserted pavement. She didn't look back, afraid of what she might see. She just wanted to get home, to the safety of her own apartment, to the warmth of her own bed. But as she walked, she couldn't help but wonder about the creature, about the terrifying encounter in the empty office. She knew she hadn't imagined it. She had seen it, felt its presence, heard its chilling growl. And she knew, with a certainty that chilled her to the bone, that it was still out there, lurking in the shadows, waiting for its next victim. The end.